What up, friends? Welcome back to another Car Sessions. Today, I kind of want to talk through things I was told as a child that were either blatant lies that I believed for a very long time, or things that were told to me that conditioned me and are still with me as an adult. Some good, some bad, mostly all hilarious in my mind. Let's start with the cabin light. So, when I was a kid, anytime we had to move or do something in the car while our parents were in motion, obviously we needed our seatbelts on, we would need to rush and do things. And I think one way our parents taught us, or at least tried to condition us, to do things quicker was that we couldn't have our cabin light on for a very long time. And they would tell us that if the cabin light was on, there was a chance we'd get pulled over by the police. And we didn't want that, because obviously we thought that was really bad as children. So we'd always hit the light, do whatever we needed to do, or grab our toy, or whatever the hell we were doing, as quickly as we could, and then turn off the light. Actually, now that I think about it, I think the reason I was told to turn off the cabin light was because I would sit there and just turn it on and off. And so my parents told me that if I kept doing that, the police would pull them over. I don't know why I just thought of that, but that's clicking in my head. And I just thought of this motion and just turning the light on and off, on and off. Oh, such a little jackass as a child. Anyways, so that was one thing. So another thing that was more of a conditioning thing for me as a child was one of my chores was to dry down the dishes. And so when I dried down the dishes, I did, what my mom showed me. One thing she showed me was to clean the ring around Tupperware. I remember the first few times doing that and all that stuff. And after a while, I got kind of annoyed having to clean that stupid ring because it's so thin and small and it was just a pain in the ass. And I didn't want to do it. So I ignored it. And I remember my mom calling me over and saying, "This isn't dry." I was like, "Yeah, it's dry. It's dry on the inside, outside." She's like, "No, you missed the water under the ring. You can't do that. You have to dry it all down." And I was so annoyed by that. And I remember saying that when I'm an adult, I'm not going to fucking care about this. Or I'm not going to care about the stupid ring when I dry my own Tupperware, assuming I have Tupperware. And now, as an adult, I have Tupperware, and it drives me insane when there's water in the stupid ring. It just pisses me off so bad. I get so annoyed by it, because it's there. And it's funny because it's how my mom conditioned me to make sure that all the dishes were dry and clean. Making sure there's no specks on the dishes either. And just scrub that shit off. And so let's flash forward now, from child to adult, even now. Sorry, I've already talked about being an adult, but flash forward to me as an adult at my mom's house, washing her dishes, and she's drying them down. And I'm watching her, and she's kind of just drying things down, doing her thing, and here comes the Tupperware. And she starts drying down the Tupperware, she puts it down and starts stacking them, and I'm looking at this, and the first thing I noticed is that she didn't clean the ring of the Tupperware. And I looked at her, and I was like, what the hell? You don't even clean the ring of your Tupperware anymore. And she's like, yeah, so? When I was a kid, you forced me to clean that stupid ring in the Tupperware. She's like, I don't care. You guys aren't in the home anymore. She's like, I just taught you well. It's like, damn it, Mom. Thank you, though. Appreciate that. Love you lots for all the guidance and teaching and caring. Just, it's just funny. Just those funny things. But let's now jump to a blatant lie my mom told me as a child. One, which is hilarious. So, again, I'm an adult, and I don't really know how to whistle. I can kind of put my lips together and blow and make a whistling sound, but I can't, like, change the pitch and tone. I can't whistle a tune. And part of that is because when I was a kid, and you know when you're a kid and you learn something cool, like snapping your fingers or whistling, you're like, this is neat. You're going to do it. You're going to show it off to people because you're a kid. You're always just doing things you like. So I was whistling all the time. I don't know how long it took. Maybe a week, maybe 3 weeks. But essentially, I was driving my family insane with the small little whistling noise that I was making. And so I remember distinctively taking a bath, I'm like 6 or 7, and my mom coming in to the bathroom, looking at me and saying, if you don't stop whistling, snakes are going to show up. And that freaked me the hell out. I was like, okay, I'm done whistling. I don't want snakes to show up. I don't like snakes. And so I stopped whistling. And so I never really, like, practiced whistling from then on out, or really learned how to whistle properly, or whistle loudly. And I remember bringing it up with my mom a few years back, saying, do you remember telling me that when I was a kid? And she's like, no, I don't remember that. And I was like, why do you think you told me that? And she stood there and she thought about it for a little bit, and she's like, I mean, you know, I was thinking like the snake charmers, because they're whistling and they're attracting snakes and stuff. And I looked at her, I'm like, they're not whistling, they're playing flutes and instruments to charm the snakes. And I was just so baffled, but it's funny because it's like, I was annoying everybody, so that was the lie she told me to get me to stop whistling, and I've never whistled really since then. And it was all based on the theory that, you know, snake charmers. It's great. It's great. And so, let's move on to another conditioning thing, I guess. And again, these aren't all bad. I think they're all funny. You know, I'll say that there are also some really good ones that aren't funny either. Like, I'll say my dad conditioned me very well as a child. I was a super lazy kid. Didn't want to do things. I'd rather sit around and play video games or just watch a movie or TV than help out or do anything. And I always remember my dad saying, you know, if you do this once, you won't have to do it again later. Do it right the first time, it won't, you know, be broken or be mistaken next time. And essentially, it gave me that really strong mentality to not do band-aids for things. Like, if I'm going to do something, do it correctly and fully all the way through. That way, it gets done. And that's a really good trait to have, or a trait to follow through with. So thanks, Dad. Appreciate that life lesson. Love you for it. It's great. Here's another fun one. And again, not a bad lie, but a good one. So, I remember being a kid, liking these noodles a lot. And my mom would make them for me. But, obviously when you cook foods, they're really hot right off the stove. And so, it was always way too hot for me. And I always tell her it was way too hot. But I liked them a lot. It kind of rhymed. So, she came up with this idea to let me use this bowl that was pretty low. It wasn't a very deep bowl. Very small bowl, I guess. And she told me that this was a special bowl. And this bowl would cool your food down very quickly so you can enjoy it. And so I believed her. And so anytime she made me these noodles, she would always put it in this bowl. And I don't know why or how, but placebo effect, I guess. I would just believe her and think, oh, hey, I can just eat my food right away now, because it's in this bowl. And thinking back on it, yeah, that's not really something that happens. There's no magical bowl that instantly cools your food down. But hey, it was a good lie my mom told me to help me. I don't even know what to help me get past, but essentially to just be able to eat my food sooner rather than later. And it was nice. One of the conditioning facts. And honestly, this probably isn't just like a me thing. This is probably a whole cultural thing, being Asian. But we don't really wear shoes in the home. And that's definitely something that's stuck with me. I don't really wear shoes in my home. I really don't like it when people wear shoes in my home. And on the flip side of it, I'm kind of weirded out when I go to other people's houses and they're okay with me wearing my shoes. And it's just kind of odd to me. Because, you know, it's been conditioned in my brain that shoes are dirty and will make your floors dirty. And so I always feel like when I'm walking around in my shoes, I'm just leaving a huge mess wherever I step. Is how I feel. So, yeah, that's another conditioning one for me as a child growing up. Can't really think of any other things. So, if you have any things that your parents told you as lies as a children, or ways you've realized your parents conditioned you and have helped you become a better adult, feel free to leave those in the comments below. I'd love to see them. If you like this video, please consider hitting that like button. Also, if you wouldn't mind sharing with your friends, because maybe they'll find this interesting too. And if you're a really big fan, consider subscribing for more content. Thanks for watching, and with that, YouTube, I will see you guys next time.